ओके रिकॉर्ड वो कॉपी मेरे को भी मिलता है ना?
हाँ वो मिलेगा, यू विल गेट दैट कॉपी फॉर योर रेफरेंस, ओके। ईच एंड एवरी रिकॉर्डिंग यू विल गेट, ओके। So
हम्म।
now basically I'm not going into that much deep in that introduction part. Why? Because you're also a working professional, right? And you've been working in IT since long time. So we will cover up the where is that file? Citrix. Hmm.
तो मेरे को रिकॉर्ड करने के लिए जरूरत नहीं है ना?
No, no, you will get it over your. You do not have to record it. I will edit
ओके।
it and then I will share that. So basically, when it comes to the Citrix, like this is a kind of basic definition. Okay, like what is Citrix and how it works. So when it's come to the Citrix, basically it is a company having headquarters in US, Florida, and it is most popular for the two major products into the virtualization, which is known as GenApp and Gen Desktop. So earlier, those products were named as GenApp and Gen Desktop, but after the release of version 7.15, they guys renamed their product from Gen App to Virtual App and from Gen Desktop to Virtual Desktop. Okay, so right now into the market, you will get the latest product by name
वन सेकंड, वन सेकंड।
CVAT.
I'll वन सेकंड, वन सेकंड, वन
Mm-hmm.
सेकंड।
Mm-hmm.
हेलो।
Yes, yes,
One
tell
second.
me.
I'll quickly grab a book and some few things.
Mm-hmm.
It's better I write it down. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe if I write down, I think that will be I can
Yeah,
remember it.
you can take a notepad and you can.
Yeah, yeah. I know I don't need
Actually, I'm
that
also
to.
suffering from cold and fever actually. So just due to
Oh.
sudden climate change here.
Mhm.
What is?
Okay. कोई बड़ा बुक तो नहीं मिल रहा।
You can open notepad na in your laptop. That will works,
नहीं,
right?
टाइप करते करते नहीं नहीं नहीं, द इजी
अच्छा.
थिंग इज टू राइट इट
Okay.
डाउन। ओके, क्या कर सकते हैं, जो है वो है। हाँ। ओके। ठीक है, बताइए।
ठीक है. So this is a basic definition. Company located head office in US, Florida, and it is most popular for two products into the virtualization. Earlier, those products were named as GenApp and Gen Desktop, but after the release of version 7.15, they guys renamed their product like GenApp to the virtual app and from Gen Desktop to virtual desktop. So
No, no,
right
hold,
now,
hold. See,
Mhm.
so okay, they have two products which are virtual desktop and
Virtual apps and virtual desktop.
okay. Earlier they used to call them as ZenApp and Zen desktop.
Look, see my
Uh,
now it's changed to virtual app
mhm.
and Gen Desktop
Mm.
to virtual desktop. Okay, so that is the only change.
Yeah. So this is after version.
After version, like after version 7.xx, you can consider. Okay, Huh. uh, got it. Let me show you that in real time scenario, like what was the exact version. So Where it is. Have you created your Citrix
Yeah.
account?
No, should I create one?
No, not required right now. I will guide you how to do it.
Hmm.
What happened to that website?
वो ऐप वी करके आता है ना
Mm-hmm.
वो VMware का है क्या?
No, no, that is from Microsoft FB server, and
ऐप वी से
that is almost end of life actually. Why? Because Microsoft itself released that AVD, na, Azure Virtual Desktop.
या
My Gmail is working. Everything is working. Why this website is taking that much time? Okay. Okay, so this is how like Citrix console look like, and from here, like let me select where it is virtual apps and desktop. Hmm. So you will find the current release is 2308. Okay, Citrix virtual apps and desktop 2308. Okay, please do remember that. That is the latest release. Okay,
okay.
and that release it is published on September 14, 2023. Okay, so that is the latest one, and like as you can see, 2305 each and everything is virtual apps and desktop, right? Let's go back. Now you can see after this version, GenApp 7.8 and GenApp 7, Gen Desktop 7.8, they guys rename their product to virtual apps and virtual desktop. Is it clear? The version?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Like after release of 7.xx means 7.18, you can note it down the exact version. Okay. So after
Okay.
7.18, they guys released their new product, which is known as virtual app and virtual desktop. Okay, they guys just rename their product. Okay, nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay, and in the same way, when we go to the where is that ADC, where it is NetScaler. So here the latest release of Netscaler is 14.1. Okay. So no company will prefer to have the latest one. They guys always go with the N-1 version. Okay. So if you have to upgrade anything in your production, you have to go with the stable version. Okay. That is 13.1 or maybe N-2 if you want to prefer more stability, right? So this is how it works.
Okay.
Okay. So please.
So this Netscaler version, what is
Mhm.
the Netscaler version currently? They are on 5500, right? Can you
No, no.
show that where exactly it is?
Listen, 5500 it is your physical one, not the virtual one. This is BPX. This is a virtual one.
Okay.
Are you getting my
So
point? That
these are all virtuals.
yeah,
Okay, okay,
that
okay,
is the
okay.
BPX.
Oh, oh, oh,
BPX.
oh.
Okay, that is the BPX edition. Okay, and the
Okay,
version you are talking about that is your physical machine. Okay, one physical server. But these are the BPX one. These are the virtual appliances. Okay.
okay.
So as per right, so far what you have told me, as per your client requirement, they guys require to migrate their physical hardware to the virtual appliances. Okay, that is the virtual one.
Correct, correct, correct.
And in a same way, you might get some requirement from them like this version or whatever is their requirement, or you have to guide them like this is the latest one and we will go with the N-1, something like that as per the company policies. And if they guys are okay to go with the latest one, it's totally up to them. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So these are the only two things. Now coming back. So this is a basic definition. Is this clear?
Ah, okay. Yeah, this is clear. See, यहाँ पे Netscaler कहाँ पे आ गया? See, they have only two products. Okay, desktop and virtual desktop and virtual app.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is this Netscaler? ये प्रोडक्ट क्या क्या है?
Listen.
इसमें
Listen,
हाँ,
NetScaler, it is a additional like kind of security layer. Okay, means like it is you can use Cisco firewall or any other firewall as well, right? For Cisco routers for load balancing and multiple things. But Citrix always recommend to have NetScaler for the load balancing. Okay, so NetScaler will replace your existing. You will see NetScaler here in this Citrix diagram. So this is a kind of like network diagram how data center looks like. Okay, so this like left hand side, these are your end user devices, means your end user with laptop or desktop with one application which is known as Citrix workspace or Citrix receiver. Okay, so along with one web browser Google Chrome, only this is the requirement from end user side. Okay, and in
okay.
between you can find Citrix gateway that is known as NetScaler as well. Okay, and after NetScaler, the right hand part, this one, this is your data center. This is your on premises data center or a cloud data center. Okay, so in your data center you will find storefront. So storefront is nothing, it is a landing page or a web page for end user. Okay, you must have to give some URL to end user. User इस URL को hit करेगा, and once user hit that URL, then it will ask user to enter the credentials, right? Credentials like username and password. So once user enter the credentials now, what it will do, it will forward that query to delivery controller. Now what is delivery controller? So basically delivery controller, it is a core component, it is a mastermind in Citrix data center, and the delivery controller process all the information to the respective server. So now delivery controller got the query from storefront to validate the credentials. So delivery controllers knows like to which server this query needs to be forwarded. So for user authentication, everyone knows the server responsible is Active Directory server, right? So it will forward
Yeah.
that query to AD server to validate the credentials. Okay, so If credentials are fine, in that case, but if credentials are incorrect, in that case, user will get some error like username and password is incorrect, something like that, right? And
Mm.
once Active Directory server validate the credentials successfully, so after that, what it will do, it will forward the query to delivery controller again, and delivery controller forward that query to the database, that is SQL server. Why?
Mm.
So it will get data from there, and then it will forward the same query to the hypervisor, that is a hypervisor on which all of the virtual machines and applications will be hosted, and delivery controller will ask hypervisor to turn on the specific virtual machine which is published for that end user. Then the query again go to the storefront, and when user clicks on login, on next screen user will get some icons like Windows 10 desktop or Outlook or whatever the application we have published to that user. Any doubt here? How it works?
Which is fine. So what are these VDAs?
VDA is virtual delivery agent. Basically, like for an example, you have to publish one application for an example. So you have to publish Notepad application to n number of users in your infra. So what you will do? You will configure one server, and in that server you will install Notepad plus plus, and then you have to install VDA agent. VDA agent, it is from Citrix virtual delivery agent, and that delivery agent, it is responsible to create communication between that particular server to the delivery controller. So it continuously pings the availability of that server. Means if this particular server goes down for any XYZ reason, so in that case you will get alert like your this server is down and user will not be able to access the resources. So that is very very small application, and it continuously pings your delivery controller always.
Mm.
Any doubt? So
Mhm.
basically, server desktop you can publish for application purpose, and desktop edition like Windows 7, 10, 11, these kind of operating system you can publish for
Using a desktop VDA.
yeah, desktop VDA. So VDA are of two types, server VDA or desktop VDA. In general, we will use
So
server.
whatever the yeah, sorry.
If you are having hundred of machines, virtual agent in every virtual machine. Okay. Without that,
Mhm.
user will not be able to access the resources. Okay.
Resources.
Yeah.
That could be application or that could be a desktop.
Whatever it is. Okay. Why? Because this VDA
Okay,
agent.
now see,
Mhm,
there's a question. There's a question.
mhm,
Now server
mhm.
VDAs are specifically for hosting applications and desktop VDAs are for hosting the desktop,
Desktop.
which is called as VDIs.
Yeah, that is known as VDI desktop. But listen, that is not always mandatory to, publish only application with the servers. You can publish server desktop
Mm.
as well because there is some requirement for testing of the servers, right? So in that case, you can publish
Okay.
server desktop as well. Okay, but generally we use servers to publish applications only. Why? Because in Windows Server we are having that functionality for concurrent parallel connections, right? Like 100 users can
Okay.
connect to server or operating system at the same time. But on other hand, in desktop, only single user can connect at a time. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like in general, we use server to publish applications only. But yeah, you can also publish the entire as well
Mhm.
if there is a requirement. There is a requirement. Okay.
Mhm.
Now coming to the hypervisor. Do you know what is hypervisor? Huh,
So it's a it's a cloud-based service.
no.
Hypervisor is a virtual virtual version of any of the resources called hypervisor, is it?
No.
People.
So basically, listen. Hypervisor, it could be a software or it could be a like operating system to run multiple virtual machines on a single physical hardware. Means, for an example, like hypervisors are of two types, like two types. First one is your known as टाइप 1 जिसको हम bare metal hypervisor बोलते हैं. Okay, and second one is your टाइप 2 जिसको हम टाइप 2 ही बोलते हैं, इसका कुछ होना नहीं है. ठीक है. सो टू इंस्टॉल टाइप 2 hypervisor, what is the requirement? You need one OS first, like Win10 or 11 or whatever the edition, right? And over that or your VirtualBox or maybe some other whatever. In this scenario, what we are doing, we are installing hypervisor as an application, and these hypervisors you will never find into your production. Why? Because these are for some learning purpose or testing purpose. You cannot rely on that thing. On other hand, when it comes to the bare metal, so in bare metal we will install hypervisor as an operating system directly on physical server. It could be a Dell server, Nutanix server, or Blade server, whatever it is, right? And example for that is your ESXi or your Citrix Gen server or Hyper-V or maybe any other, if whatever available into market. Any doubt here? What is hypervisor?
Not getting clarity now.
Okay, so
So
now
can you repeat it?
let me repeat it again. So now comes to the type 2 hypervisor. Okay, so you can see this is my laptop. Okay, and in my laptop what I have done, this is my personal laptop. Okay, and in my laptop what I have done, I have installed Windows 11 first, right? And to run hypervisor in Windows 11, what I did, I I have installed that VMware Workstation Pro. You can see here, right?
Okay.
Like if I want to test something, right? If I want to create any virtual machine, like few machines are already created, right? So this is my type 2 hypervisor, and this is for testing purpose. I cannot use it here. Now, what is the benefit of my hypervisor? Benefit is that you can see the hardware resources of my personal laptop, right? So yes, so you can see my laptop, it is having my laptop is having 16 GB of RAM, okay? And right now I'm only utilizing 47% of it, right? And coming to the CPU, I'm only utilizing 28% of CPU right now. So what I'm doing here, I'm just wasting my hardware resources. I'm not utilizing my hardware up to its maximum efficiency, right? So
Uh,
what I did, when I installed, when I install that hypervisor, type 2 hypervisor in my machine. So after
no,
that,
no. See, so this is hypervisor app. So VMware Workstation is a hypervisor app, is it?
yes, it is. When you have installed hypervisor as an application, that is known as type 2 hypervisor. Why? Because we are installing hypervisor as an application. Okay, getting
Okay.
my point?
Okay.
But
When you
in
install hypervisor as an application, then it is type 2.
type 2, right? And in production, you will find hypervisor as an operating system directly on the physical hardware. Means in that case, you do not have to install Windows 10 or 11 directly on physical hardware.
Okay. So there you are installing hypervisor as an operating system. So
Yes.
Citrix might have its own operating system.
Yeah. Your Gen Center and your Hyper VMware ESXi. These are the operating system, not the applications. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
VMware ESXi is an OS.
It is an OS that you must have to
Oh,
install directly on physical hardware. Okay.
and Citrix ZenApp is also an
Genap,
OS.
no, Genap is not an OS. Citrix hypervisor. Gen server is OS. And over Gen server, you can create
Zen
Gen app
server.
or Gen desktop.
Okay, Zen server is here. So Zen server is an OS. Okay.
Yes, Gen server and Hyper-V, it is also an OS. Okay, that is from Microsoft.
Hyper-V ESXi is an OS.
No, ESXi, it is from VMware. And
Okay,
Hyper-V,
ESXi is VMware.
just give me a
Okay,
minute.
Hyper-V is from Microsoft.
Listen,
Hmm.
huh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Listen, huh, when it's come to the bare metal, na,
Hmm.
ESXi, okay, and
Hmm.
on that operating system, you have to install applications like VMware Workstation or VirtualBox or maybe some other, okay. So these are the type
Hmm.
2. Means in simple word, when forget each and everything. In production, you will find that only. Okay.
Okay, one more doubt. In
Mm-hmm.
type 2, it
Mm-hmm.
can be VMware Workstation, VirtualBox,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be ZenApp.
No. GenApp is a different thing. GenApp is a server. Okay. GenApp is a server which is publishing your server, your applications to the end users. Okay.
No, Zen server is a server, is it?
Gen server
ZenApp
is
is
your hypervisor. Okay. GenApp is your application server from which you are delivering the application to your end users.
okay.
Getting my point?
Okay, these will have to be very clear.
Look,
Yeah.
listen.
Hmm.
In simple word, if you are noting it down, that will be good.
Yeah.
GenApp, it's your application server which is publishing the applications, okay, to end users, okay. And Gen, that is your hypervisor on which you have to create all the virtual machine. So this is also the virtual machine. This is also the virtual machine, okay. And these two virtual machines will be over on your hypervisor, that is Gen server.
Okay.
Any doubt?
Hmm. Okay.
Just, just give me a minute, man. Let me have some water, okay? Yeah, hi buddy, I'm back. Can you hear me? I think if you are speaking, you are on mute, man. Hello, can you hear me? You are on mute again, buddy. You are on mute if you are speaking. Please unmute yourself and speak. Hello, buddy. Can you hear me? Hello. Buddy, can you hear me? Hello, bro. You there? Okay. And license server, which is something relevant to allocate the license to the virtual machines. Okay. So Citrix core components are storefront, delivery controller, studio, director, license server, and each component I will cover when we will be doing practicals with each and every component. Okay, so this is just an overview. Okay,
Okay, one question. This studio is used
Mhm.
by the administrator only, right?
Yes,
All of the three are different server or different application for all of them.
it's totally up to you. You can configure different server for it, but in
Okay,
production
okay.
we can't do that. Why? Because if that particular server goes down, na, in that case,
Instance of studio is like I'll install studio on three different server.
more than two servers are
Hmm.
required for each component
Oh, okay.
for high
Okay.
availability. Okay, you will find two storefront, two studio, two director, two license server. Okay, and that two
But
only you can create more
uh,
than two.
so for example, see if instance we have 400 license.
Yes, anytime.
Okay.
But it's
No, what
totally
is
up.
the best practice?
So basically, for an example, like you are having a new client, right? And as per
Hmm.
client, their requirement is to publish 300 VDIs, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
for safe at site, you must have to ask them to get license for at least 350 BDIs, right? In that way,
Hmm.
you will be able to extend up to the 50 virtual machines, right? Why? Because scale limit to get license for 250, not for 400, right? Why? Because 50
Hmm.
license that not that much costly. Why? Because if a customer is procuring the license for 200, 250 not that much costly. There is nothing a huge difference. Okay, so you will be always in addition and like
Okay. Now,
proactive.
okay. Now one other question. See how the
Dot X. Okay, first, and your gateway will identify like that is internal
gateway is the
URL.
net scaler.
Yeah, Netscaler.
Gateway is the net scaler.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So your Netscaler will identify it's an internal URL or the external URL. Means, for an example, like you have your URL be like that, like www.xyz.com/home. Okay. So
Hmm.
slash for
Hmm.
external, one is for internal, right? So what your
Hmm.
Netscaler will do, it will route that traffic to the external storefront server. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And for an example URL, it will be like www.xyz.com/office. Okay. In that case,
Hmm.
your Netscaler will route that traffic to your internal data center.
Internal storefront.
Yeah.
Internal
Internal.
storefront that will the yeah, okay, got it. Okay.
Look.
And
Mhm,
this user device with Citrix
mhm.
workspace app. Uh, what is this? This app look like? Is it a is it a URL or is it an app? What
You
is
have
it
nothing.
called?
You have nothing to do with that
Management.
part. Look, you have
Is it?
nothing to do with that part. It has been taken care by your local IT team. You have to guide your local IT team. Like in every user desktop, you need to install one application which is known as Citrix Workspace
Citrix
app.
receiver.
Yeah, receiver.
Workspace. What is Citrix receiver?
Receiver is the older version. Okay. Now they guys rename their product to the Citrix Workspace. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Citrix
So
receiver is
your local IT guys. Okay. You have nothing to do with that part. Yeah, but sometimes you have to guide them. Means your end users like your IT engineers install. Now, so again, you have nothing to do with that layer. User layer has been taken care by your local IT, that is your workspace. It could be a laptop, desktop, or tablet, whatever the device. And in that device, one application is must, which is workspace. Okay, and along with the Google Chrome. Now coming to the access layer. So access layer is something which is a gateway for end user to get into your data center resources, right? So user must have to open the web browser. Scalar will device to which server it has to be forwarded, like external storefront or the internal storefront, right? It's totally up to the URL, what URL you are entering. And what we will do, we will wind up both the storefront, like storefront one, like external or internal storefront to that Netscaler, okay? So whatever the URL end user hit, it will mm, route that traffic to the like respective storefront URL. So this is why these servers comes under the access layer. Why? Because they are responsible to access the resources into your data center. Okay. Do
next
not
killer.
get confused. Listen. Here it is. So earlier that product were known as NetScaler. They guys renamed their product to Citrix ADC. Okay, for virtual appliances. Okay, for physical server it
Okay.
is NetScaler. Okay,
Oh, Netscaler is now Citrix ADX.
ADC.
So
Okay,
ADC.
okay. So NetScaler is a
What is the
product.
what is the
Show you where it is. This piece. ISO. Where is the NetScaler? Where it is? Where it is? Where it is? Here. XVA. That is a virtual appliance, and you have to configure that appliance on your hypervisor. So that is the extension dot xva. And okay, let me keep it simple for you. If I extended it anywhere, no, let me give some IP address and you have to configure it. That's it. So that is your OBA file, OWA, and that is the extension.
is a new name for Netscaler.
Yes,
And
yes.
when you explain ADC, it's application delivery controller, is it?
The application delivery controller, it is your load balancer.
But I'm talking about ADC. What do you mean by A, D, and C?
It is your virtual appliances, na? It is your delivery controller. Okay, not getting my point?
No, in the internet it says application delivery controller. So
Yes,
that's the
so
reason I'm.
that's what it is doing actually.
Hmm.
Means basically do not go with the internet definition. It is your kind of, if you go to the full form now, it is known as application delivery controller, and basically it is responsible to deliver the application or the desktop as per your requirement. Means for an example, in general it is known as the load balancer. So basically this is your end user devices. Okay, and that is your net scaler, and after net scaler you are having like whatever is this. Okay, I'm just will hit. Okay, this one I have to pick. So your end users are accessing your net scaler URL. Okay, and now after net scaler, 3 or 4 storefront servers are there. Okay. Hmm.
Hmm.
So for an example, like for an example like these two servers are for the external accessing the internal URL. Means user has typed some internal URL. So storefront server, right? So now we are having two internal storefront server for high availability, right? So for an example, Netscaler finds like already 100 connections are already running on that server. So what it will do, if on that server 80 connections are there, so it will forward next connections to second storefront URL. Are you getting my point? How it will load balance?
Yeah.
And after that, it
Yeah.
will deliver the application from data center for sure. But it will simply manage or simply load balance the connections to our storefront servers. Any doubt?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, no. Correct. I got it.
Okay. Hmm. So into the control layer, we are having, where it is. Into the control layer, we are having all these servers which are controlling our data center. So delivery controller is controlling all the queries. Domain controller is controlling your Active Directory or end user
Access.
authentication. SQL Server, it is your database. It is storing the
Assignments.
database like when user is logging off, when user logging in, right? What applications users are opening, each and every log you will get here. License server, it is allocating licenses to virtual machines. File server, file server is nothing, it is your shared storage on which you have to keep all of end user data. Okay, so that is your file server. And into the resource layer, you will
No,
find
how is end user data coming here? Now, how is end user data coming here? End user, they will keep their data in their respective servers, right?
No. End user data, it will be always on shared storage. Have you ever heard about the folder redirection?
Yes.
In folder redirection, what we will do for end user data, like their desktop, their documents, each and everything will be same, right? But we simply change the path of that particular thing. Means I'm an employee, right? And I can log into any computer in my organization connected to my domain, right? But
Yes.
on every computer, I will find my same desktop. Why? Because my desktop is right now, every company is redirecting their data to one drive, right? You might have one drive in your organization, right?
Yes. Yes.
So end user end user data, it will be always on the shared storage. Okay, why? Because in production we are using the, for an example, let's take an example, like your client, he is using random desktop, right?
Mm.
So in random desktop, random users are accessing the resources randomly, right? Maybe into the day shift or night shift or whatever the shift, right? Their desktop is same, like desktop shortcut, document data, whatever the data, right? Expect C drive. Why? Because C drive is restricted. We only redirect desktop downloads or right in general.
Mm.
Are you getting my point? What I'm trying to
Yes.
say?
So, okay. I'm just trying to visualize. So, whenever the users log into the VDIs,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and through Citrix,
Mm-hmm.
and if they store anything, it will be redirected to this file servers. Am
Yes.
I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
Because
It
for
will
an
not have its own storage. The
yes.
virtual devices, the VDIs, it would not have its own storage.
No, no,
Whatever they store in
no, no.
in that instance,
The device, they do have their own storage, right? But we do not want to store user data on the local drive. Why? Because
uh,
for an example,
uh,
if that particular VDI is got deleted by mistake, right? In that
okay,
case,
okay.
what will happen? User data, it will go, right? And
Correct,
user
correct.
will escalate. So
Yeah.
that is the only reason why we used to keep all the end user data to our file server. Means by any chance virtual machine got deleted or corrupted or whatever the reason, right? In that case,
If it is done through GPO, or if it is
it is always done
done
through GPU only, the folder
okay,
redirection.
user will not be able to uh, you know misuse that. Second thing is, happens, and if anybody deletes the VDI, they'll still be able to see that. If they bring up a new VM, they
Mhm.
can still see through the same GPUs once it is applied. So once a new VM is turned on, sorry, VDI is turned on,
No, no, that is
it will be
not the
mapped
that is
automatically.
no, no, that is not the manifest, right?
Okay,
And if I ask you to back up all the end user data, how you will do?
correct.
You will have to go to every system one by one, right? And you have to copy desktop and multiple things, right? And here in file server, we just have to copy a single folder. That's it, right?
Correct.
We just have to
Yeah,
copy that single shared drive or shared folder to keep backup at some remote for the disaster recovery, right?
yeah,
And it is used to schedule like a weekly backup or monthly backup, something like that, right? Because for
correct,
IT companies,
correct.
for
Yeah,
banking sector, data is everything.
yeah, yeah.
And like in banking sector, they guys used to back up the data on daily basis. Why? Because
Okay,
for
correct,
them,
correct.
records are everything, right? They, with the help of server OS, you will publish the application, and also you will find one desktop OS as well. With the help of that resource, you will be able to publish the desktop to the end users. Okay. Now, coming to the
So
hardware layer.
VDA is virtual desktop app. right?
virtual delivery agent.
Virtual delivery agent.
Yeah, and that is
Okay,
responsible to
uh,
publish
now
that application.
similarly,
Mhm.
yeah, similarly,
Whatever it is,
the
that application to your end user, that application it should be installed. That's it.
mm,
Okay.
mm,
Hmm. Now coming to the hardware layer, and that is very very important. That is your hypervisor with some great configurations like high-end network card, storage, processor, CPU, memory racks. Okay, so basically that is your hypervisor, and over the top of your hypervisor, each and every virtual machine is created. Like whatever the layers you are getting here now, all those virtual machines or VDI hosted on your hypervisor. Okay.
mm. Hypervisor is basically a hardware with highest configuration, right?
Yes, and over
With a
the
very
top of
good.
the hypervisor, we have to create all the virtual machines. Why? Because
Mm,
if you have to publish 100 virtual machines to your end users, right? So you cannot procure 100 laptops. See, what you have to do? You have to procure one server with good configuration, and over that server, you can create 100 of virtual machines, and you can publish these virtual machines to end users, right?
correct, correct. So correct me if I'm wrong. Now, this
Mhm.
hypervisor will be in two types. One is the type one will be um,
This one is your type one.
the type one will be the it will have its own operating system,
Yeah.
which will be very it can host it'll have all these access
Hardware.
layers and control layers
No, no. It will
and
only
resource.
have the hardware resources with good
Uh-huh.
configuration. And just forget about these layers, okay? These are just for example. Over the top of hypervisor, you can create any virtual machine, okay? These are just the naming convention in Citrix, okay? In VMware, you will find some other server's name, okay? Like Horizon
Role.
Client or something like that, okay?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So only servers will change, but hypervisor, it will remain same, okay? Okay. So what is the plan here? Like I have divided the entire, okay? And the first session, that is your introduction and prerequisite that we are discussing right now in this one, okay? And from tomorrow onwards, what we will do, we will go with the practicals like how to install and configure the delivery controllers and other core components, how to configure the hypervisor, how to create our first static site, and how to add delivery controller to the site. Then next one we will do practical like how to configure the master image or golden image, and how to install virtual delivery agent, that VDA agent, in all the machines. In the sixth one, we will learn action of the virtual machines. Means if you are having 100 virtual machines in a in your infra, so that 100 virtual machines will known as machine catalogs. In the seventh one, we will learn how to create delivery groups. So basically, with the help of delivery groups, you can publish any applications to, or you can restrict any end user to a specific application or the desktop. In the eighth one, we will learn how to install and configure the storefront server. And then in the 10th session, it is for more than 2, 3, or 4, 5 days. And basically, this is for troubleshooting, backup plan, and kind of disaster recovery. So, any issue?
Yeah, which is good. So
Mhm.
I would also be interested to understand how the upgradation happens because that is the exact scenario which I'm going to perform.
That we will cover in that 10th one. Okay.
Okay, and then
Mhm.
um, designing concepts.
Designing concept we are doing right now. Now you can see this is our data center that we have to design. Okay. And once we configure that data center, then I will let you know how to get the requirement from the client. So first we have to create basic data center for your understanding. Okay.
Okay, okay. So now in
Mhm.
my case, okay,
Mhm.
yeah. So by the end of the today's class, I think I'll bring up what is the actual requirement. I
No
think
worries.
that will be. That will probably
Uh,
solve.
that is our prerequisite. We must have one domain controller. In my case, my domain is techmtech.com, and these are the minimum hardware resources, but I have uh, assigned to the virtual machines to create a data center with proper functionality. So to domain controller, I have given 2 GB of RAM. Our second server is Citrix delivery controller along with all the core components like server operating Gen server 02. For every hypervisor, I have given 10 GB of RAM. So why I have picked up 2 hypervisor, like if for anyhow if one hypervisor goes down, so I can switch all the connections to the second one for high availability. So
Okay, these two are physical machines that you have.
yeah, yes, these two are the physical servers.
And on
Delivery controller, it should be CDC, Citrix delivery controller. Okay, there might be
okay,
typing
okay.
error. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
CDC,
yeah, yeah,
Citrix delivery controller.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I will change it later on. Now, next server is our storefront server, and these two are our
Yeah.
client machines, Windows 10 Client 01 and Client 02. So these two machines will act as a end user devices, and from that end user devices, we will hit our storefront server. From storefront, it will hit Active Directory for authentication. Then it will hit delivery controller for to whatever is available for that user, and then it will
Mhm.
go to the hypervisor to turn on the relative virtual machine, and then this user will get next screen. Okay, whatever the application is published. So as you can see,
Okay,
the minimum hardware requirement like 10 plus 10, then 26, 28, 30, at least 34 GB of physical RAM is required to create at least minimum data center. Okay,
okay.
so
So, okay, we will create the VDIs under that in
VI over the top of the hypervisors. Okay,
correct, correct, correct. Got it, got it,
so now
got it.
the requirement what I need from your side is that some technical requirement like some basic understanding of Windows Server.
Public
Mm-hmm.
with the
Yes, yes.
IPs,
Mm-hmm.
and then DNS. I have some issues with this DNS kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, they say a one-time setup
Yeah.
only.
Okay, and then in my scenario,
Mm-hmm.
when the client is having already having all these set up, okay,
Yes, yes,
and it
yes.
is only about upgrading,
Mm-hmm.
I think it these are things will not.
Machine is actually not getting any IP address from DSCP scope, so it will never launch, right?
Mm.
So those kind of scenarios, like you might have something in your mind, like you have logged into that machine, but it is not getting any IP address, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
DNS record may be miswrited or deleted, whatever the reason, right? So I will let you know how to. These are the very, very simple tasks actually, not that much complicated. Okay. Now,
No, which is correct. No, no. What I'm saying, see,
mm-hmm,
in my scenario, okay,
mm-hmm,
I'm only thinking in that perspective. Okay, so I'll do the assessment. During the assessment, I'll capture all this. Okay, how many VDAs do they have? How many concurrent sorry license they have? How many VDAs they have hosted applications, and there are what do you say? All those things I'll cover. At the same time, I'll also check how is this DHCP DNS thing is also configured over there, right?
listen, each and every thing will be pre-configured over there. Okay.
Uh,
You have nothing to do with that part, right? But
yeah.
you sometimes what happen na, like as you are working as a Citrix administrator or Citrix engineer, right? And to manage DSCP and DNS, na, you will find separate network team over there in our every organization, right? And your network team will take care of that, right? But
Mm,
you might have some idea IP address. So in that case, you have to raise a ticket to the network team, right?
mm, 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 mm.
So you might.
Okay. See, once the devices are deployed,
Mhm.
okay, one time report that I can get, or should I log into each of those devices and check? Because 400, 500 machines, should
You have
I
to
check
log
each one
into
of?
your DSCP scope to pull out the report.
So to see if it is assigning IP to each of them.
Yes, that I will show you. Now, I recommend SST for faster operations and software ISO files like Windows Server, Windows 10, 11, you can pick anything. These are freely available on Microsoft website for 180 days and provide these ISO files to you. Any doubt here in this?
No, which is fine, but
Mhm.
I don't have any of these lab setups. You will have to give
So that,
everything.
this line is getting being recorded, so I will let you know the rental charges, okay? Okay, and not
Okay.
on the recorded line that we can discuss offline, okay, after this call, okay? Whatever the charges, okay?
Yeah. Feeling today?
And not that much good, but yeah, quite well actually. Need 1 or 2 days to get up to the mark actually. So
Hmm.
now just give me a minute, someone is calling me.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go to the hypervisor, like my remote server. Hmm. So this is my remote server, and in my remote server, what I have done, this is my hypervisor. Hmm.
So today we are going to install delivery controller and
And other core components. Okay, like hmm, studio, director, license server, along with delivery controller on a single machine. Okay,
okay.
but in production, you will find separate servers for the separate components for to avoid the uh, fault tolerance. Okay, but in test lab, we can do that. We can deploy these components on a single machine. Okay, and you will find Gen server as an hypervisor everywhere. So this is our hypervisor, and this is a bare metal one. And I installed that hypervisor on directly on the physical server. And
Okay. So this Zen server is the
hypervisor,
hypervisor.
yes. And Gen Center is the application from which we are managing the hypervisor. So basically, this is just an application, this Gen Center, okay?
Mhm.
This is a Windows application. I installed that Windows application on my domain controller, and from my domain controller, I have added my hypervisor. Like I can remove it from here. And this is just a simple application like WinRAR, Adobe Reader, or something like that, right? Like whenever
Okay.
you are working on like VMware ESXi. So for VMware ESXi, what you have to do? You have to open the web browser and you have to put some IP address over here, right? And with that IP address, you will be able to manage your VMware ESXi in GUI mode, right? But in case of Citrix hypervisor, you will get this application from Citrix, which is known as Gen Center. Okay, and
Okay.
in that Gen Center, what you can do, you can add multiple hypervisors like Citrix hypervisors. So click on add a server. You have to put the IP of your hypervisor. So this is my IP. Username will be the root. Why? Because these are the Linux flavor hypervisors. Like it could be like VMware or any hypervisor. So all are on very light operating systems in Linux flavor. So let me enter the password for root user. Click on add. So it will sync up with the hypervisor 203 up to n numbers of hypervisor as per the VDI account. Okay. So, but at least two hypervisors should be there for high availability, right? Minimum two, and there is no limit for the maximum. Okay. Install any operating system in hypervisor. Like to create any virtual machine, we have two ways. Like one is the traditional way. In traditional way, what you have to do? You have to click on the new virtual machine. Then you have to select the flavor like Windows Server. Click on next. Then you have to give machine for an example ABC. Then next. Then you have to install ISO media, that Windows Server, where it is. Here it is. Then next, then that is the hardware resources. It is showing like 28 GB of RAM is available on Gen Server 01. You can select the hypervisor. In our case, we are having only one hypervisor, but in production, you will get a list, okay, with the available resources. Click on next. Then you can decide the CPU and memory for this machine. 2 GB, 4 GB. If you want to increase, you can increase it as 50 GB or 100 GB, whatever. With next and finish. So once you will click finish now, what it will do, it will create new virtual machine. OS on any virtual machine. But we are the IT guys, right? We do not have that much of time. Like we cannot waste 20 or 30 minutes in OS installation, right?
Hmm,
So
hmm.
what it will ask, it will ask you to create the partition, then it will load the windows, then you have to, set up the user account, select multiple things, right? These are the traditional method, right? So we are not going to, I'm just showing you how to create virtual machines in this console, but I'm not going to continue with that. Like here you have
No,
to
I know,
select,
I know how it will continue. I know I have done it in the past. Yeah, this I know.
so I'm
Uh,
simply shutting down this machine. This is just for demonstration only, okay? And I'm deleting this machine. Now, then what I did, I simply powered off that machine. I right click on that. For an example, that is a machine what we have created with the traditional method, right? So simply power it off, right click, and from here you can convert it to a template. So it will create a template, whatever the current status of that machine, okay? Like whatever application you have installed, whatever you have done, it will create a template and it will show it here. So I already created that template. Simply right click, click on a quick create. So CD DVD or that kind of traditional stuff. And in the meantime, what we can do, I can simply right click on this server 2022, go to the properties and give mm, Citrix, CTX for Citrix, DC for delivery controller, and DC01 I already do have that host name. So let's make it Citrix DC. Mhm. I do not want any conflict here. So
no, no. Let's see Citrix hyphen
mhm,
uh, WP. That's
WP
client Western Power hyphen
DC.
DC.
Okay.
So DC can be misunderstood, right? Domain controller and
No, it's a delivery controller. You can type
delivery
CDC,
control.
Citrix. That is the
Citrix.
only reason now why we type here
Huh.
CTX. Okay.
Okay, 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 okay.
So
Correct.
click OK. So
Okay.
now you can see this is a machine and this machine is now powered on, right? So simply
Oh.
you can send control delete and the template what I've created with the local administrator account, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So tell me one thing. Okay, there'll be a hypervisor.
mm-hmm,
Okay, a bare metal machine.
mm-hmm.
On top of that bare metal machine, what you have done is
I
okay,
directly
on
installed
your
Citrix
on your
hypervisor as
device.
an operating system.
No, no, on your device, first of
Mhm.
all, on your device you have installed Zen Center, correct?
No, 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 no.
Huh?
Gen
On your
server,
own
no?
device. No, no.
Look,
Okay.
look, let me show you. So what I have done actually, two physical servers are there, okay?
Okay.
So this one is domain controller
Okay.
and domain controller. Like domain controller, I have taken a remote of domain controller, okay? In my domain
Okay.
controller, I have installed Gen Center, okay? The GUI tool.
Yes. So now what you are sharing, the device, the desktop, what it is
Mhm.
showing, it is your domain controller. You have
Yes,
logged into that domain controller
yes, yes,
operating system, Windows operating system
yes,
server.
yes. In my
On
domain
that, you have
controller,
installed Zen
Gen
Center.
Center. And with the Gen Center, I have added my bare metal hypervisor. and I'm
bare metal
managing my bare
hypervisor.
metal hypervisor with the Gen Center. So this is a remote machine, and this is
Correct.
the machine which is in my local area network. So
Look, that
my
you are accessing it through Zen Center.
yeah, Gen Center with the help of my domain controller. Okay.
Correct,
Why?
correct,
Because
correct.
I need some Windows machine to install that application.
So
Right?
in the real time,
Hmm.
in the real time, it could be any desktop also. I mean, my company provided laptop also can be done.
Yes, yes, yes. Any
My
Windows
company level
machine. Yes,
laptop,
yes. But
on
it
my
should be joined
company
into
provided laptop,
yes. But that machine it should be on to the
joined
same network.
that same network or the domain.
Yes.
On client provided laptop, I'll log in and then I'll install Zen Center. From there, I'll have to configure this Zen server.
Yes.
Okay. Now, uh, is there a situation where we'll have to um, create they'll get you a hypervisor, and on top of it you will have to install Citrix operating system, something like that.
Come again.
Okay,
What you are asking?
to create to create the Zen server, Zen
Mhm.
server itself you'll have to create, for example. That situation will be there.
No, they guys are having their own hypervisors, right? So you just have to manage the hypervisor. No one will be going to ask
Uh,
you to create new
configure
hypervisor.
hypervisor.
Yes.
Uh, configure it like um, the lightweight operating system that you told, the Linux based
Yes,
lightweight
yes,
operating
yes.
system.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can.
have to create that.
You might have to do that, but that will be a new project requirement, right? If they need some expansion in current infra, right?
Okay.
And if their
Uh,
hypervisors are, overutilized, in that case, you have to guide them. It is a simple operating system, just like we install Windows 7 or 10, na? It is same like that, but it is in Linux flavor, right?
okay.
Have
For
you
that
ever?
you will have to use for that you will have to use some Linux commands to install that OS.
Nah, nah, simply mount the ISO media and it will. I will share one video with you how to install that OS. Okay, I have created that one.
Okay, okay, okay,
Okay, it
okay,
is
okay.
very simple. You just have to select few options, but you cannot use mouse at.
Document which is created or only videos? If you
It,
have documents with screenshot and all that, that will be
look, document creation it will take time, right? But
okay.
video is a very if I have to create the document, na, so I have to go with the step by step. I have to snip each and every step, right?
No, 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 correct. If you have
Mm.
done any time in the past, okay, when you have designed multiple things,
I have
some people,
look.
somebody will, some client will ask, na, give me the installation procedure and
No,
all
no,
that.
no, no no client will ask that. Why? Because client just ask you a design. They have nothing to do like how you are installing.
Okay,
Why? Because
okay.
whenever you are taking any project from any company, na, so that will be your responsibility to manage that project technically to provide the support.
Hmm,
Okay. So
okay.
client, these guys are not only technical guys. Sorry. Okay. So coming to the point. So let me make it full screen. So our first task is to join this machine into our domain, right? So I will keep the same host name like CTH, WPDC, whatever we have given to this machine. Okay.
So yeah, once connecting to the hypervisor, we have created a clone of, okay, you have a template over there.
Mm-hmm.
You have created the clone of that template. You
Mm-hmm.
have created one more server.
Mm-hmm.
On that, we are going to uh, join this device to the domain. Is it
Yes, we are going to join this machine into our domain.
domain? Okay.
So simply click on change, keep the same CTX hyphen WP hyphen DC, and my domain is techamtech.com. And let me enter the credentials CTX admin. So these credential you will find. I will give you the credentials whenever you will performing the practicals. Okay. Okay. So machine it is now into a domain. So, okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now into a domain. Okay, so machine it is now Hmm. Okay, so now let me log in. So now always we remember whatever the operation we have to perform with our domain user accounts, right? We cannot use local admin account. So I simply logged in with that admin account. And now what we have to do, we have to install the core components like delivery controller, studio, director, license server on a single machine. For storefront, we will keep the separate server. Okay.
Okay.
So these three things along with the database we will configure on the single machine. So to do the same, sorry. So am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So to do the same, we will get single package.
This will be downloaded from the Citrix website, is it?
Yes. Yeah, like latest one is 2310 something like that. Okay.
Yes, yes,
But
yes,
I
yes.
already downloaded it. But that is a stable one, na? So I will go with the stable one. Or else I have to download new ISO files, right? Again and again.
No, 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 no. Correct, correct. See, oh,
Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
hello.
Hello.
I can hear you now. What happened?
There might be some network glitch. Okay. So in your case, what you have to do, you have to upgrade it from older one to the latest one, right? Or whatever the
Yeah,
requirement. So
yeah. So the versions releases, sorry, the Citrix and the Microsoft releases these days,
mhm.
they are coming based on that.
So
That's how they are versioning it.
okay. So that is good now. Why? Because
Yeah, yeah.
right now we are deploying the older one, and after that we will
Correct,
upgrade that infra to the latest one.
correct,
So you will
correct,
get some idea. Okay.
correct.
Okay. So open the file explorer, then this PC. This is the installer file. Simply right click, click on install. So right now we are just deploying the infra. We are not upgrading it. We will upgrade it. Okay. Click yes. So in Citrix, like when it was GenApp and Gen Desktop, na, on that time we have two options like GenApp and Gen Desktop. Are you getting this?
Okay, this is with the latest versions, right?
Yeah, latest version. But in case you have to create a server to deliver applications only, you can go with the first option, right? But
Ramesh, see, the thing is, sorry, I'm trying to parallelize everything
mhm,
with what could be there in the customer's environment. In
mhm,
the customer environment, since they were using with versions which is older than
mhm,
2018,
mhm,
they might have only servers which is serving apps and only they might have installed only virtual apps on couple of few of the servers and virtual desktop on couple of a few of the servers.
right.
So, now when we are designing it
Mhm,
now with the latest version,
mhm.
should we continue the same thing or can we give them a better design or plan to change it?
Look, we have
Most,
to basis, okay? We cannot change the entire infra, okay?
okay, okay.
We just have to plan for the migration only, okay? In future, you can guide them like you can destroy this application server and you can merge that application server with the desktop servers. Okay, that kind of R&D you can test after
Yeah,
migration. Okay.
because no, because they can we will save them a good uh, money in terms of
No, you
license.
cannot do that. You cannot do that. Why? Because they already have 400 user license, right?
Huh, huh.
And they are having 300 or 350 connections at a peak time, right? So they
Yes.
are already having 50 plus licenses in additional. So please do not try to touch the infra like in that deep, right? Do not try to play with that. Simply first you just have to migrate it from Gen app to the virtual app, right?
Mm.
And you have to provide the support. And in future, like in next financial years, right? Whenever things will be the stable in future, right? After the migration, then you can guide them for further plans, not right away. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll go with the second one because new deployment is not a difficult task, but migration is always difficult. Why? Because you do not want to interrupt your existing infra. So
Mm.
here, as you can see in this, we are having multiple core components available. Like we will be preparing the master images, and along with delivery controller, what we will do, we will install director, license, and studio on a same machine. These three up to your client, but that is a additional like paid facility, okay, from Citrix. So whenever you will get some more details from your client, like what if they are
What are their
using,
print solution?
yeah. So and if they are using any session recordings for BDI console, so these are the some additional things, okay. So that we will cover in January, means as per the client requirement, right?
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
select the delivery controller. Need some GUI tool. So
Yes.
if I uncheck this now, you will see this component must be installed at least on single machine, right? So that is a
Yeah.
console. You cannot manage any server without any console, right? So you have to
Yeah.
select this one. Director, you can uncheck. License server is must. Why? Because you must we needed one license server to allocate licenses. Okay. So
Okay.
in production, you will find studio on delivery controller for sure, but director and license server it will be on different machines or different virtual machines. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Click on next. Now
So we are the sorry, what is that? Store point or
storefront we will keep it on a
storefront?
separate machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Store
On NetScaler.
Netscaler, we will install it later.
Yes. We will configure different servers for them. Okay. Now along with the core components, we need one database, okay, to keep the records, right? So
Mhm.
in this package only, you will find Microsoft SQL Server, but in production, you will find some SQL team, right, who will be managing your SQL Server, right? So
Yeah.
in production, you have to ask them if you want to create new database in SQL Server, you have to ask them to create new database, right? And they will give you some path to connect your like that will be already there like Microsoft SQL right? But in our case,
Yeah.
we are installing that SQL Express on a this machine only, right? So,
Yeah.
but in production, you will find separate server for SQL and separate team. You have nothing to do with the SQL server, okay? You are not responsible to manage the database. Why? Because we are not the DBA guy, right?
Mm.
And this is very, very important. Like Windows Remote Assistance tool. Why? Because this feature it is from Microsoft and it is required for shadowing the VDI session. Means whenever any user logged into VDI and user is facing any issue, so what you can do with the help of this tool, you can simply shadow end user screen. Okay, and you can advise or guide end user with the possible troubleshooting steps. Okay, why? Because sometimes there is a scenario like user will be able to launch the virtual machine, right? But user are unable to open Outlook or Teams or any other like any application is getting crashed or whatever the reason, right? So for those to fix those kind of issue, you like user end screen it should be visible to you, right?
Yeah.
So click on next. Okay, this machine has less than 5 GB of RAM. Okay, one more important thing like to configure the delivery controller at least 5 okay, at least this is a minimum requirement, right? So I think let me check how many memory I allocated to this machine. I think we can get it from here. Oh, it's 4.9 GB. Okay, no worries. So what I can do, I can click on I understand. So installation it will be continue. Okay, and these are the port numbers like for delivery controller TCP 80443 license servers and for the director, right? So you can select these options like automatically, like if you are using Windows firewall. So you can select that option, and during the installation these port numbers it will be automatically opened into the Windows firewall during the installation. But if you are not managing the firewall, if you want to perform that activity manually on, if you are using any physical firewall, in that case you have to ask your network team to open these port numbers for proper functionality, right? But in every organization Windows firewall is there, so go with the automatic one and click on next. And these firewall port numbers it will be opened in this machine only, in delivery controller, not into the entire network. Okay, so that you
Okay.
are
So in the real time environment, you will have to open it manually, yeah?
no automatically only.
Automatically only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, so here is a summary what we have selected. That will be our installation directory. The prerequisite like Microsoft Visual or SQL Server, then your IIS services and remote assistant tool. After prerequisite installation, it will install the core components, and into the feature installation, it will install this this feature, and into the firewall, it will open these port numbers during the installation. Click on install. Now that is very very boring, and that installation it will take somewhere around up to 30 to 40 minutes to complete the entire installation. Why?
Okay.
Because multiple prerequisites will be installed. After that, core components, then post initialization, and that SQL Server installation, it will take some time. Okay. And why is that? Because we are installing multiple things on a single machine. I think in this call, only 4 minutes are remaining. Okay. So, like after SQL installation, now this machine, it will ask you to reboot the machine, right? So, whenever it will prompt now, you have to simply reboot the machine, and you have to log in with the same user account from you have initiated the installation. Like in our case, our user is this, where it is. Mhm. From where it will, this user Citrix admin. Okay.
Okay. So you will log into the server with Citrix admin once
Mhm.
the is booted. But for the studio and all that, would it ask a different login or how is it?
No, this is my server. Okay, if I minimize this now, this is my server, remote server, right? And
Oh,
if you can see in my server, I have logged in with my admin account. Okay.
yeah.
But the thing is that this server, let me show you my active directory. So this server it is basically configured for my students. Okay, so you can see students. Okay. So these are the students who is taking remote of this server like 24/7 day and night, right? Are performing some activities, right? So actually, let me pick any user. Let me, which one I can, let me show you. I'm not sure what password I have given to this. Okay, so for an example, right now I logged in with as an admin account. Okay. Now, if I ask my student to log into the same machine, so what they will do? They will log in like use different account. So this is my how it looks like for my students. Okay. Click OK. So now she is logging in and she will get nothing. Like in start menu, she will get only few options. If she will try to open the task manager, these operations are restricted, right? So my end user, it will only allow to open this application Gen Center and they will connect to my hypervisor. And why I have created CTX admin? Why? Because CTX admin, it is a service account with all the privileges and user cannot take a remote of my that service account. So
Okay, if she log in with her ID also through Zen Center and access this hypervisor,
yes, so
all
in I
the all the servers under that hypervisor she'll be able to access, huh?
yes, with CTX admin account.
Mm.
But she cannot take a remote of my main server with CTX admin account. Why? Because this is a service account. So that
Got
account,
it.
it is for my hypervisors only.
But tell me one thing, see, to launch it Zen Center, she don't need any user, sorry, any access, any credentials, right? This
No,
app
that
will just open like that.
yes, that I allowed her with the help of Lab students. They can
Okay.
only open Chrome like Citrix workspace and this lab guide, whatever they had here. This is a lab guide.
Correct. But
Mm-hmm.
in the real time, what I'm saying, in the real time, in the client environment, uh,
Mm-hmm. So as you can see now that installation is completed.
oh,
Uncheck this box. Why? Because we do not want to send any data to Citrix for diagnostic. Okay. Click on next.
in the real time also it is the same, huh? We will not send
Yes.
anything to Citrix.
Yes, yes. If you are into the banking sector or any other, the product based recommend to send any data. Okay.
Okay.
Hmm. So you can see Visual SQL like remote assistant, delivery controller, studio directory license server, and everything is installed, right? So here, if you want to launch studio for now, if you click on the start, so you will find Citrix components here like director, studio. So
Okay.
now what we have done basically, so done, we have simply installed delivery controller, studio director, license server. That's it. We have simply done the installation, right? But
Yes.
as per the network diagram, you can see it should be
Oh,
interconnected, right? Right now, there is nothing is
correct.
connected, right? We simply installed it. That's it. Just next, next, next,
Correct.
next, and installation is finished, right? What we have to do, we have to create the site, right? So when we are creating the site now, we have to map each and every component with the delivery controller, right? So we do not have to map the Active Directory server. Why? Because that delivery controller itself join into our domain, right? So that is already mapped, right? Now our task is to do the same. Simply launch the Studio Console.
Studio console.
Yes.
Okay.
What I'm planning after site creation now, we will wrap up for the day. I will take some medicines. Then we will continue for tomorrow onwards. Okay. So when you open Studio for a first time after the installation, you will get a blank site and you will get three options like to create a new site to deliver application and desktop to your end users. And if you have any physical machines in your office, right, and you want to publish that physical machines, it could be a desktop or a server or whatever it is, right, but it should be a physical machine. But if you want to publish the physical machines to your end users over the internet, so in that case you can select this option. And
Okay.
if you already having any existing delivery controller into your site, right, so you can so yes, why? Because for an example, like your existing delivery controller, it is designed to handle 200 connections at a time, right? But somehow
Mm-hmm.
connections are getting increased or users are increasing, right? So in that case you have to set up second delivery controller, right, for load
Okay.
balancing. Do not have any existing one, we do not have any physical machine, we are into the virtual world, so we will create our first site. Okay, so select this option.
Mm.
Now we have to enter the site name, so it could be a office name, uh, home address, company name, whatever you want to give, you can give. Like for an example, like we can give like India hyphen HO stand for the head office. Means if you are having multiple sites in country or over the globe, so your naming convention should be identical, right? So you can use any naming convention. Click on next. Now very important. Here what we are going to do, we are going to map our SQL server to our delivery controller now. Okay. So in Citrix,
So that is the first step, huh?
yeah. So now it is asking. No, sorry, yeah, I'm having kind of headache. Okay. So it is asking to connect the database, right? So in Citrix, we are having three kind of database. Whatever the site configurations are done, all those logs will be stored here in site database. Means how we have configured our site. What is the IP address of our servers, right? Whatever the site configuration we have done, all those logs will be stored here into the monitoring database. So what monitoring database will do? It will store all the logs which is related to the hardware utilization of the virtual machines, memory utilization, network utilization. If any machine is overutilizing the hardware due to some external process or whatever the process or application, right? So some alert will be triggered. You will get some email, you will get some notification like this machine is not like behaving properly or something is wrong in that machine, right? So these kind of logs will be stored here. Why this is important? Why? Because sometime it happens like users are continuously complaining like, he is having some slowness into the machine again and again, right? Although your virtual machine is running on 16 GB of RAM or maybe 24 GB of RAM, right? But you have to pull out the records from the monitoring database and you have to pull the reports for next or not next for last 7 weeks or 15 days, right? And this is
Yeah.
applicable for every virtual machine. Okay. Now
Yeah.
coming to the logging database. So into the logging database, it is completely related to the logging. Means when users are logging in, when users are logging off. Okay, what your Citrix engineers are doing in your infra, how they are modifying your infra, what activities your engineers are performing, like what application they are publishing, how many virtual machines they are creating, whatever the activities are performed by your Citrix engineers. All those kind of
Mm.
logs will be there. Means with the help of logging database, if something goes wrong, you can check the activities of your engineer, right, to roll back the situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the three database, and now we have to map it, the SQL server. So as you can see, in our case, we have installed SQL server on the local machine. So it is saying localhost slash SQL Express, that is a database instance name. Okay, but in production, you have to ask your server. Then you have to get the path, the location, right? And then you have to click on next. Any doubt here? This is very, very important.
Yeah, this is fine. But if you are not using,
Mm-hmm.
if you are using the host name and something like that, then we'll have to use properly name resolution, the DNS thing also properly, right?
Yeah, DNS should be proper. You can use host name or either you can use IP address as well. Okay,
The FQDN and the followed by the SQL database. Is it
Express, yes, the instance name. Okay,
the instance name, whatever the instance, that
yes.
instance name? So, we would just request that if it is required, okay. If it is
Mm-hmm.
already existing, we'll just copy and paste that here
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
case of
Yeah,
upgrade.
in case of upgrade, site configuration, it will remain same. Okay, only version will be updated. Simply click on next. So what it will do, database in SQL server, what we have installed in our local machine, like in our delivery controller.
No, see,
Mhm.
it is going to create these databases newly, or we'll just add which is already created.
We have installed it.
So then we will say just select, and then if it is already there, then what we'll do?
You have nothing to do. It will automatically pick it up from the site configuration. Okay. We are just doing the site configuration. Now, what we have to do, we have to map the license server. Okay. So to map the license server, also we have machine, and that is a port number for the license server, Citrix license server 27,000. In production, you have to change the local host with the host name of the IP server, sorry, license server, or the IP address, and you will get separate license server for your
So correct me if
production.
I'm wrong. Uh, with the VDIs that we are going to create, this license server will give the license to those
No, no, this
servers, right?
license server, uh, it is responsible to register the VDI with the Citrix. Why? Because we have taken, we are using the Citrix services. So if any of your machines are not registered with Citrix, so that machine, it will never launch for the end user. User will get some error like machine is unable to start the machine or something like that. Okay.
Okay, so this is for license server. Then how is the Windows license managed? Now there is operating system.
That is
How is that managed?
that has been taken care by the Microsoft. No,
We don't
Microsoft
have to worry
volume
about that
license.
also.
No, no, you have nothing to worry. One Microsoft license server should be there. You might know KMS. Uh,
KMS, yeah.
I am not getting the full form of that word. KMS, like it is some. It is a license server from Microsoft only to activate the Windows license. Okay. So, am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So, location is localhost. Port number is 27,000. Now, by default, Citrix allow us to use the product for 30 days at free of cost. Okay. But if you already having any existing license, so you can, and
Okay.
if you do not have license code, in that case, you will get one LIC file that is known as license file from Citrix. Okay. So if you have a license file, just click on browse for the license file and you will get some file in LIC extension bit.lic. You have to locate that file and you have to open it. Right now, we do not have any license file. Okay. So simply click on next. So it will validate our license server. Now we have to map the hypervisor to the delivery controller. Why? Because delivery controller is responsible to register the VDI basic takes whatever the virtual machine we will host on our hypervisor, right? So hypervisor we have to connect to a delivery controller. So right now what we are doing, we are connecting each and every component to a delivery controller, right? So now Citrix supports all the available hypervisors into the market. So if you can see here connection type, so first one is Citrix hypervisor, of course, but if you do not have Citrix hypervisor, you can use VMware vSphere as an hypervisor, and you can use that Microsoft Hyper-V. Earlier it was Hyper-V, but now they guys rename it to System Center Virtual Machine Manager. Okay,
Mhm, mhm,
so like we have three most popular player in virtualization. Citrix Hypervisor supported, Microsoft Hyper-V is also there, and VMware vSphere client is also supported, right? If you do not have any hypervisor, you can select this for physical machines, and I'm not sure what is that wake up on LAN. Okay, just forget about it. So we are having Citrix hypervisor, so we'll go with this one. Now it is asking for the hypervisor address, so we have to give the hypervisor IP address here. So in my case, it is http colon double slash 192.168.10.101. So that is the IP of my hypervisor. Username is root for my hypervisor. We will put connection name like CTX for Citrix, HYP for hypervisor, and so first hypervisor, so name it 01. So in that way, if you are having 10 or 12 hypervisors, so you have to use this kind of naming convention. Any doubt here?
okay, got it.
Simply click on next. Now, what it will do, it will validate the credentials. Okay, credentials are validated of our hypervisor. Now, it where we have to keep our virtual machine. So, our virtual machine should be on hypervisor for sure, right? But in production, you will find storage like network storage like iSCSI or shared or SAN or NAS, right? So those kind of storage you will find to keep data at centralized location, right? So in that case, you have to use first option, and you have to give the path of your network storage, like the IP address of your network storage. But in our case, we do not have that network storage for testing purpose, so we will go with the local storage on my physical bare metal hypervisor. So I will
Okay.
store all those
So
like
in the real time, it could be file server also, na?
yes,
Or
it will.
file server
No, no,
or
it
Azure
will always be file server only. Okay.
file server only. It can also be. We can also keep the files in Azure also, right? Azure file share.
Yes, yes, you can do that. So in this case, we are using local storage. Click on next. Now we have got the
So can we go back
mhm.
and
Hello.
can you click back to the storage management?
Give me a minute. Mm-hmm.
So if I click on use shared hypervisor, then
Mm-hmm.
what will be the next thing? If you click next, it will ask any other details.
Unable to find any shared storage. Why?
Okay.
Why it is? Because this is our hypervisor, right? And in hypervisor, if I go to the local storage, right? So I am having one local storage here, right? This is a local storage, right? I am having ISO share as well, right? But I do not have any shared storage here.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want to add the shared storage, so what you have to do, you have to add it first. Click on new storage, From here, you have to select iSCSI. Okay,
mm, mm,
click on next. You have to give some name. You can select any, whatever the requirement.
mm.
And here you have to give the IP address of your storage.
Okay,
Okay, got it? It should be already added. Okay,
okay. They'll be added here.
yes. First, you have to add it in your hypervisor. Now, then only you can keep your virtual machines, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, click on next. We have two kind of storage selection here. Like OS, we always used to keep operating system on the shared storage, and temporary files we can keep on the local storage. Temporary files means the event logs or some cache, right? So those kind of little data we can keep it. Why? Because these are the temporary files, and after every reboot, these files will go away, right? So this is how in production you will find OS on the shared storage, and temporary files you will find on the local one.
Okay.
Now, network. So we are having only one network, but in production you may find multiple VLANs, right? Developer VLANs or any other VLAN, right? In our
Mm,
case, we are having only one, so can type CTX hyphen NAT hyphen 0. So it will match that. Okay. After Citrix, we can create our own application server, and that's very easy to manage. Okay. But in some companies who is running on older infra with Windows Server 2012 or 2008, right? Over there, you may find FB servers as well. Okay. But
mm.
this is not for you right now, and you will never find this. Okay. If you find this anywhere in your this project, please let me know. Click on next. Now, here is summary what we have selected. The site name, database, three database. Delivery controller is this ctxwpdc.techemtech.com. The license server, connection, hypervisor, and the storage selection what we have selected. So now this is a summary, right?
Mm,
How we have configured our site, right?
mm,
So whatever the entries you can see here, all those this database and records what you can see here, all these records will be stored inside this database, site database. Why? Because these are the site configurations. Getting my point? I think I have to take some strong medicines now. Okay, let's wait for a while. I'm on mute for a couple of minutes. Okay.
okay.
Hi, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So in production, we'll
Mm,
find this kind of console, similar as it is, okay, everywhere.
mm, okay.
So this is your studio for India HO, and you will get these kind of options like machine catalogs. So machine catalogs are nothing. These are the collections of the all the virtual machines, right? So whatever the count of the virtual machines, you will get that list over here. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Uh, Continue.
So basically, machine catalogs are the collection of the virtual machines. Okay. So whatever the count of the virtual machines are there in your office, you will get all the list over here.
Okay.
The desktop and applications to the of the virtual machines to specific team or user means if you have one machine catalog here for HR team, right? So you must have to restrict access of these virtual machines to HR team only, right? So
Mm,
with the help of delivery group, you can achieve that target. So when we will be creating the machine catalogs, na, I will guide you how to 100 or whatever the count of virtual machines are there. We'll get each and every virtual machine listed here. Okay. Delivery group. I told you with the help of delivery group, with the help of application, you can publish or you can create the applications for end users with the help of the application server. That we will do the practicals. Policies,
So you'll also teach me how to host an application and then publish it to the users.
I have
Right?
to cover each and everything. I will go step by step only. Okay.
Okay.
So policies are quite similar to the Active Directory policies. With the help of that, you can restrict the end users to perform unauthorized uh, activity, right? So, but everywhere only Active Directory group policies are preferred, right? So this is a optional one. Okay, if you do not have any Active Directory policy, in that case only you have to deploy these policies. Okay, or as per the company standard. So I will show you in upcoming sessions how to configure any policies. Now this is very important, logging. So as I told you, logging, it is a database, and as you can
One
see,
minute. How this policy is different from group policies?
not different, but if you do not have group policies, in that case, look, group policies are only applicable like
At the OS level, huh?
yeah, OS level. But if you have
Okay.
to deploy any policy to, for an example, like I'm accessing my VDI, right,
Ah,
with my personal device, right? So group policies
uh,
are deployed on your system. That is completely fine, right? But if I want to copy something from my VDI to my local desktop, right? If I have taken
okay.
RDP, so I can do that, right?
Okay. Okay.
So
These are
these kind of,
configuration policies.
yeah,
Correct.
these are the local policies, okay? And that
Correct.
is
Correct.
applicable on Citrix workspace and VDI.
Mm,
Okay, it will not affect the domain group policies. Okay,
mm, mm.
now logging. So this is very important. Now I am the only engineer here who has performed or set up the site, right? So that is my username, CTF admin, right? Whatever the operation I am performing here with start date and time and with status, right? I will get some records here, like this user perform that activity, right?
Yeah.
Now, into the configuration, go to the administrator. Hmm. Here, you will find list of all of your Citrix administrator. Right now, I am the only, only one, but if you have got new joiner in your company, you can click on create administrator, and after that, you have to select user. So let's pick text user 01. This is a new joiner and I want to make him Citrix administrator. Click OK. Click OK. Center. But if he's a training engineer or a help desk guy, in that case, I can give him read-only permission, so he will be able to see the uh, site, but he cannot modify. But if I want him to create machine catalogs only at L2 level, I can assign that role for you. And if he is a help desk guy, in that case, I can assign this role for him. And as a help desk guy, that user will work uh, as a L1 guy, and he will be able to just see and kill end user session, and he will be able to restart the virtual machine. Okay, so these kind of roles you can define as per the candidate level. Click on next and finish it. So after that, we are having two engineers here, like Citrix admin and test user 01. In some time, you can see this is help desk guy and this is full administrator. Into the controller, here you will get list of all and more than two as well. Into the hosting part, you will get list of your hypervisor. Here also, minimum two is required for high availability, and more than two you will get for sure. Into the licensing and you can
VMware.
see.
Like L2 tasks have been handling,
Mm-hmm.
can say that troubleshooting tasks on VMware, and I'll be getting Windows task also.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be working on that, and monthly based patches also will be working on through AWS portal. Will be doing patching and creation of change requests and problem tickets or with a service or ticketing tool.
Okay.
And mainly, mainly overall, we'll be looking into VMware and overall vSphere environment,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever the troubleshooting things or else any issues will be arised in VMware. We'll keep on checking and will be jumping into any situation which will be affecting the environment. We'll be working on that, and
Okay.
any
Existing infra in your company.
no, like there is Citrix environment also in a company, but I am not part of it. So recently I have placed my papers with the company also.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for opportunity. So that time there were a lot of openings in the Citrix environment. So without knowledge and without
Everything here. Okay, so
yeah
sorry actually for my voice actually suffering from that is a thing. So not an issue. So when it comes to the Citrix, no, so basically when it comes to the
yeah
virtualization, right
okay
now in current market situations, we are having only two major players into the virtualization. Not two, you can consider three right now. Why? Because the older one is your VMware for sure.
okay
Citrix is there, and that is on boom right now into the market. And third one, like is it is from Microsoft, which is Hyper-V. Okay, so these are the
okay
top
yeah
player into in the field of the virtualization. So when it comes to the Microsoft and Citrix, because VMware is still running on the legacy infra. VMware is
okay
kind of very, very slow if you ever worked on the VMware hypervisors like vSpray client, right? And VMware in current market situation, VMware is only like limited to the older companies or the big giants who are having older infra, right? But nowadays,
Yeah.
what is happening? Like medium industries also migrating over the cloud, and they are preferring to go with the Citrix one or the Microsoft one. So, what happened in current scenario? Microsoft and Citrix have some settlement, and Microsoft boom. The reason is that because in every organization, Microsoft is everywhere. It's on your Windows, your Outlook, your like the essential one, right? I'm not talking about the like additional one, right? The essential one, which so Citrix is a major player right now and have merger with Microsoft as well. And they guys will be planning to capture at least more than 60 or 70% of the market in the field of the virtualization so far. So when it comes to the Citrix, as you can see,
Okay.
it is a company having headquarters in US, Florida, and but after the release of the version 7.18, okay, after the release of version 7.18, they guys renamed their product from Gen App to Virtual App and from Gen Desktop to Virtual Desktop, okay. So in current market, in current days, product name is Virtual Apps and Virtual Desktop. In short, we will okay.
Okay.
So this is a basic definition. If you want to explore the definition, you can Google it. But like if someone asks you what is Citrix, you might know this kind of basic definition. Okay.
Are like ESXi host and ESXi host, which will be sitting on Citrix
No, 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 no,
host.
no, no, no. These are the services. Like if you want to publish
Okay.
the application to end user, ESXi,
Okay.
ESXi is your hypervisor. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you can say, ESXi is your
Physical component.
hypervisor. Yeah, it's your physical component, right? And these are
Yeah.
the virtual components, GenApp and GenDesktop. Why? Because these are the VDI that you have to
Okay. So
publish
like,
to your end users.
so it's like vSphere.
Yes.
Virtually, it will be graphical mode. It will be shown.
Listen, your physical one is your ESXi host, right? And over the
Yeah.
ESXi host, what you have to do, you have to configure that virtual appliance, your VMware virtual appliance, right?
Yes. Yes.
And with the help of virtual appliance, you are publishing the things to your end user with the help of that Horizon clients, right?
Yeah.
So it is same like that only. So in case of Citrix hypervisor,
Okay.
which is known as Gen server, that
Okay.
is a physical component, and these two
Okay.
are
Okay.
the appliances. You can consider like
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Got it.
So basic
No, no.
definition.
Now I got it. Like Citrix physical environment is different. On the Citrix physical environment, these two will be sitting on
Yes,
virtually.
yes.
Yeah.
These two are the servers,
Okay.
okay, running on Windows Server editions. Means not
Okay.
only Windows Server edition, you can like for Gen Desktop, as you can see, this is known as Gen Desktop or the virtual desktop, right? That means
Okay.
it is a desktop. It could be a server desktop or it could be a Windows desktop. No, not Windows, like server or desktop, right? Like
Okay.
server edition or maybe Windows 7, 8 or 10, right? Means if you
Okay.
want
Okay.
to publish the server to your end user, in that case, you will install Windows Server for sure. But if you have
Okay.
to publish Windows 10 or Windows 11, right? In that case, you
Okay.
have to go with the virtual desktop with Windows 10 flavor.
Okay. This virtual application Zen app and Zen desktop will be installed on a Windows server.
Yes. Look,
Okay.
GenApp
Yeah.
is always, it will be on Windows Server only. Why?
Okay.
I'm asking if I have to publish an application, okay? See, only
Okay.
application. Why I prefer to
Okay.
choose Windows Server Edition only? Why I can't go with Windows desktop editions like Windows 7.1 or this one? Why we prefer to have Windows Server only?
Why? Because it is having additional services
What kind of services?
like Active Directory, DHCP, DNS, all overall 14 or something services are there available in servers. Additional servers from the Microsoft will be there.
No, I have to publish only single application, right? I do not want to publish the Active Directory because we cannot
Yeah,
configure Active Directory on every server, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
AD server is different. It is a
Okay.
domain controller, right?
Yes, yes. No, I'm saying because of these services we are having providing by the Microsoft,
Mhm.
we will choose server instead of desktops.
Why?
Uh, might get additional information, or else we like. Please go ahead with that. That is what I have information.
Answer is very simple, man. It is a multi-session OS. If
Okay. Yeah.
if I am if
Okay.
if I am publishing an application, I have to
Yeah.
publish
Okay.
single application to n number of users. I can do it
Okay.
by server only. Why? Because in server multiple end users can connect at a time. But when it's come to the desktop, like you are running on Windows 10 or Windows 11 maybe, right? In Windows
Yeah.
11, these are the single session OS. Only single user can work at a time,
Okay.
right?
Got got it.
So Windows Server, it is a network operating system. Over the network, you can allow multiple RDP users at a single time,
Oh,
right?
yes. Yes.
So that
Like jump box.
yes. Now,
Okay.
are you able to understand this in your own words? Whatever you are getting,
Use-
please let me know.
Okay. User device with Citrix Access Hub, Citrix Gateway, Studio Director Lines, Memory Controllers, Server VDS, Desktop. Okay. So uh, on the left side of the corner, user device with Citrix Workspace app. So this is the thing which we will be installing on the Windows server, right?